I'm Dana Glass. We're going to today talk about the groundwork involving rearing horses. The things that you really want to make sure that you have prior to getting on one that rears. If you're in one that rears, maybe take a step back, come back to this, make sure you have this before you get in the saddle. We'll be able to do another video on that, what pertains in the saddle. But we're going to start first off on what I need from my horse and the things that I find that in my line of work that really make it difficult for a horse to move forward, backwards, left to right in that moment. So yeah, we'll kind of get to it. My horse here is very, very pliable. It's something that we're very particular about as far as the bend of a horse, using their body properly, using their head and neck properly. Something that I see all the time in my line of work with problem horses that don't really get the correct bend to their head and their neck. Tend to be very, very heavy to bend left or right. To some of us, it's fine, but in this circumstance, it's not. There's a lot of horses that can deal with that pressure, but there's also a lot more that can't. So we want to break down very simply on how to get your horse more prepared as far as rearing. Again, you'll see in this video, we've kind of talked about it. My horse is pretty busy-footed, so he might move around a little bit in this just because he's not real settled. I don't really worry about that so much. I just kind of try to address that little by little. What I want to do from the ground and their back is I want to make sure that I take my hand and slide my hand down the rein. The reason for that is there's a vibration in that to where I can get the horse to bend his head or his neck. As you progress with this, you might only need to slide your hand a half an inch before that horse is bent. It's a really cool kind of deal. So if I just take and slide my hand down, and you see how much pressure I have here, it's not a lot. I want my horse to follow pressure because I need them to get out of that situation. Forward doesn't work in that spot. You better be handy if you're gonna go forward there. There's a time and a place for that, for a professional to get through that spot. For most of us people out there, it's probably not the right thing to do. So what I'm gonna work on from the ground again is just sliding that hand down that rein and getting the horse. The horse might need to move his feet. That's fine. What I'm looking for here is I'm gonna take my hand kind of at the withers, and to explain this the best to you guys, almost every saddle of people that are watching, there's going to be the button on your dressage saddle. I'm just going to take my hand and set it there. What I want him to get to where he's at or above his withers, with his ears level and soft around to the outside. So I can do it from both sides. Again, your horse might need to move his feet. I'm going to set that there. See, his ears are pretty level at or above his withers. We'll try to get him a little bit more face to the camera, which isn't working. Here, my hand comes here, horse goes. There he's soft, ears are level, head's tucked, chin's tucked. He's using the pole. So many times what we'll see is when we bend our horses around, that their ears will want to go, their head and their neck will want to do this and roll under. Their nose is pointing towards their butt and their ears are pointing kind of down towards the ground. There's too much pressure there. They don't understand that. And when that happens, if the horse does bend his head or neck that way, can't use its body properly. So I'm gonna get here, head and neck are soft. Again, I kind of think of it when they're standing there like this. If I was standing here like this, to look left and right, I can maintain my posture in my spine and in my body. Now the moment that I do this, it makes it really hard for me to get back this way or that way. So I need that back to working on different things. I need this to happen and then this to happen so that that horse can be a lot more agile. So if I do this, the first thing that you'll notice is that outside wants to kind of go that way. That's because the spine wants to drive that way. So for me, again, I'm just going to work really good about getting him to, yep, and again, he might move his feet back, forward, left, right. Doesn't really matter to me. I'm just going to wait. And follow him to it. There, the hind isn't coming, so I might add a little pressure to get the hind end moving. Again, I don't have a lot of pressure, but I do add pressure if I'm not getting the right thing from behind. So there, he's soft. Let him have that. The other thing this will help too with is your halts. Because if you notice here, his feet are kind of cattywampus. Watch when I bend him this way, he's got to move his feet because he's not square. There, he's square. I would have a lot better chance now to bend him this way without his feet really moving. So there's a lot to all that stuff as we go through it. So the other thing as we go down the road, that's step one for me, is that I can get that to happen. Step two might be, I place my hand here and I might hold it there until the feet do the right thing. Did he jump pretty good? Yep, that's okay. At least his feet moved. Again, I'm going to do the same thing. Set my hand there, wait till his feet cross. How many times do you do that? Until it's fluid. I don't need that to be a reaction because I want the horse to process. Do it from this side again so you can see what my hand's doing. I'm just going to touch here, leave my leg on, help with my hand a little bit. So I might now, because he's getting a little bit too far away from me, we'll get him back to that spot. Now I'm going to help him with my hand a little bit because he needs that support. My other horse, I can do that and he won't even move his front end. Like he'll just walk around. Great, that's him, that's not this horse. You know, and that's what we need to understand with this is every horse is different. So in order to get this stuff accomplished, this one's gonna need a little bit more help. Move my hand back. There's the hind end, I'll release. Again, how long do you do that? You'll watch here, it'll take me a couple minutes. There's just not crossing his feet right. There it is. So I'm just gonna rock back and forth with this. There, I'm not gonna take this pressure away now because he's not doing the right thing. So he's backing up. That's fine. This is where you're gonna get into a horse that he's got to process this information. See, now he's slowed down. Now I'm able to have that pressure. He's thinking, okay, well, all that didn't work. He can feel my hand here. Now he's got to figure out how to get away from it. And there he goes. Haha, I think I got it. Right? And that's what we're looking for, is you say, that's all you needed to do. Because when I get on them and they freeze up and you feel them wanting to go up and my leg goes back, I can't have them go, oh no, what's that mean? I have to have the horse say, whew, thank God, I know what that means. I just need to move my feet this way. So again, you might come back here, put that leg on, there, that's quiet. And like this is real time too, so it's really nice to kind of see what type of reaction you might have. There's the leg, there's the horse's movement. And I'm just getting that started. Okay, now as I progress like we would in the riding, I might just say, all right, now I need you to move a little bit more. Can you move around more? Good. Then let's walk off and take a break. Same thing on the other side. I'll just go back and keep kind of doing this here and there and say, there are my legs on. So my hand's gonna help just a little bit here. Just say, just move your feet. And you can start to see as we go that the horse starts to understand what we're asking. One big thing is, we can touch on this all day with me. I'm huge on this. And I know really anybody that is in the horsemanship side of things and is a horseman is gonna say, you need to have your horse's back up. You need to rein back. It has to be smooth. There's only a few things that horses do. Stop, back, turn around, and go. It's really pretty simple. Now, we refine all that, but you can't miss the back because they have to do that. So again, I'm with my thumb down. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little pressure, get the horse to back. If he's backing off to the side, I might change that path and walk maybe some circles. Get them to be a little bit better about that type of stuff. The reason for that is when a horse goes like this and goes up, wouldn't it be just nice if you pulled back and the horse went, hey, I know where to put my feet. I'll just go backwards because that's where the rectangle and the pressure is telling me to go. I need to come this way. So if you have a rearing horse, the odds are your horse doesn't rein back well. It might rein back, but it probably doesn't do it well. That also, it probably doesn't move off your legs and underneath itself very well. So I really want to make sure that those spots are touched up on when I get on one, right? If a horse gets stuck, and all of our levels are different, so what you need to realize if you have one and you're, maybe more of a novice rider, you're probably not going to feel that quite as quick as a professional rider. The big thing that you need to understand is that you need to move the horse's feet. And forward is not an option really because their feet are here. In your hands, odds are, if you ask them to go forward and they decided they really wanted to go forward, your hands, they would hit into your hands. That's what's going to cause them to be claustrophobic and probably rear up. So if you get into that situation when the horse goes, oh, I'm going to rear, if I can, again, this has to be with one rein because you can't help them with two reins in that spot. One of my mentors, there's never been a horse in the history of horses that's been in trouble that's been helped by two reins. Because when they're in trouble, you can't give them two different ways to go. You need to give them one way out. And that's left or right, depending on maybe you're on a wall or whatever that may be. We need to make sure that we get ourselves and the horse out of trouble and help them there rather than make them do something different. Because in that spot, odds of you making them do something that you want are pretty poor. The big thing with it too is like, if you have a horse that's rearing in a certain spot, that doesn't mean avoid that spot. It means go do this stuff, go check up on your horse. So when you get into that spot, you go, you know what, I have a way out for us. Let's go left, let's go right. We'll go back and we'll try that again. Because what you're gonna do when he gets to that spot now is you're gonna put him to work. It's not you just getting out of a scenario. It's gonna be you saying, all right, you don't wanna do that, we'll do this. And they go, oh, well, that's not getting me out of work anymore. You know, and horses are smart like that. So we got to make sure that we're using what they're giving us, whether it be a bad thing or a good thing. We got to use that. You know, if you're having trouble on your right side and your left side's really good, don't just stick on the right side because the left side's good already. Use the left side, just overdo the left side a little bit and then keep coming back and trying the right side. Eventually that will even out. It's pretty basic with the rearing horse, is making sure that if I do that, right, and you'll see here that he's kind of staying on his, he's not really walking forward there. The simple thing I would do is if I feel like when I do turn him, he wants to do this and back off me, I'm just gonna add a little bit of leg on the inside and maybe drive him out and away a little bit and to allow him to have that space to the outside. Now, if you ask his feet to do that, you gotta make sure that your outside leg isn't restricting him from going into that space. So making sure if you're asking him to move his, like, you know, if he gets like this and really backing up and I put my inside leg on, which would be this leg, and I ask him to get out here, I can't have my left leg there to restrict that. So there's a lot of feel to this. So, you know, don't get discouraged because, hey, I've never had this happen before. You know, for me talking about this stuff, I deal with this in my business a lot. Unfortunately, we see it a lot. And it's not something that needs to be there for the horse. So when you get into that situation, if you're not comfortable riding through it, get down on the ground and make sure that your horse is soft. If I take the horse and I take the horse's head and come this way, what are their feet doing? Are they engaged or are they disengaged? And I think that's a big thing. If the horse's feet are moving up and under, they're engaged. There's forward movement there. If the horse's feet are disengaged, they're doing this. Now, lots of people will say that in different ways. This is my, you know, for me, that's how I feel about the situation. If I disengage their hips, I'm losing energy forward. So I want to make sure that if I do get that step, I want to make sure I send them back forward a little bit to get that engagement back. If their hindquarters are engaged and moving around, they can't rear there. It's pretty dang hard for a horse to really move like this and go straight up in the air. Barring that you don't have all the ton of pressure on their mouth or something. You know, there's a lot of different scenarios that play through there, but if you're able to take them and move them in one direction, you have a lot better success rate of working through that with your horse. So that's where I would go from the ground. It's not a whole lot from the ground, but I would make sure that stuff is really, really good before I move on and get on their back.